In a world where attention is currency and validation feels scarce, it's easy to fall into the trap of trying to win people over, hoping they'll prioritize us, appreciate us, or at least acknowledge our presence. But the Stoics knew something deeper, that peace and influence both begin within. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." These aren't just words for tough moments. They are a blueprint for how to live in a world that often overlooks quiet strength. You don't need to beg to be valued. You don't need to shout to be seen. What you need is to become someone so grounded, so self-possessed, that your presence alone commands respect, without a word. In this reflection, we'll walk through 10 Stoic rules for life, not just to inspire you, but to guide you in becoming a version of yourself that naturally draws people in, not by neediness, but by presence. Let's begin. Rule 1. Don't reveal everything. Become mysterious. In a world obsessed with oversharing and constant access, mystery has become a rare currency. The more people know, the less they tend to value. That's why Rule 1 begins with a powerful truth. What you keep to yourself creates your power. Seneca warned us, to be everywhere is to be nowhere, and this doesn't just apply to physical presence. It applies to your thoughts, your feelings, and your personal story. When you reveal everything about yourself too quickly, you remove the space where curiosity lives. People begin to see you as predictable, as fully figured out. And when there's no more puzzle to solve, interest fades. But when you speak with intention, share with precision, and hold a bit back, not to deceive but to respect your own depth, you create an energetic magnetism that draws people in. Think of Cleopatra, not just as a historical queen, but as a master of mystique. Her charm wasn't only in her beauty or power, but in the uncertainty that surrounded her intentions. People were captivated because they never fully knew what she was thinking, and that made them want to know more. You can embody the same quiet strength. When you walk into a room, don't broadcast your story. Let your presence do some of the speaking. In conversation, be warm but measured. Don't rush to fill every silence. Let your life unfold in chapters, not in a single dump of data. Your experiences, your struggles, your wins, these aren't public property. They are gifts, and only those who prove they deserve to know should be given access. Mystery doesn't mean being cold or distant. It means being intentional. It's the art of knowing yourself so well that you don't need to expose every part of yourself to feel valid. The result? You become less of an open book and more of a journey, and people are drawn to journeys they don't fully understand because they offer the promise of discovery. So start with this rule: withhold to empower, reveal with purpose. And remember, your story is not for everyone. Rule 2. Create a fear of losing you. People often take for granted what feels too available. It's human nature. We assign more value to things that require effort, intention, or the risk of loss. So if you're always present, always ready, always saying yes, even when it costs you something, you teach people that you're easily replaceable, and you are not. This rule isn't about being distant or manipulative. It's about being deeply rooted in your own self-worth and identity. When someone senses that your presence is earned, not entitled, they instinctively hold you in higher regard. The Stoics teach us that detachment from external validation is a form of power. When your happiness, focus, and fulfillment are independent of anyone else's attention, you become emotionally sovereign. This doesn't mean you don't care. It means you don't collapse when you're not prioritized. And ironically, this very posture of inner strength makes others start to prioritize you. Think of the friendships or relationships in your life where someone respected you more after you stopped overgiving. It wasn't punishment, it was clarity. You created space, and that space gave them a choice: to step up or to step out. Marcus Aurelius reminds us, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength. Your strength is not in proving yourself to others. It's in living in such alignment that others recognize your value without you needing to explain it. So, how do you apply this? Start by cultivating a fulfilling life that doesn't orbit around any one person. Fill your days with things that nourish you: projects, passions, routines, silence. When others see that your energy is directed inward and upward, not just outward toward them, they'll sense that you are not someone who can be casually kept. You are someone who must be chosen, intentionally, consistently. And if they can't, you'll still be fine. That's the essence of this rule. Your value isn't defined by how others hold you, but by how you hold yourself. You're not here to chase attention. You're here to attract alignment. Let people feel what it's like to miss your presence, not because you're punishing them, but because you're protecting your peace. That is how they'll learn. You are not an option. You are a presence, a force, a rare gift. And the fear of losing you won't be born from scarcity, but from the unmistakable strength of someone who knows their worth. Rule 3. Create your own happiness. If you believe someone else is responsible for your happiness, you've handed them the keys to your peace and locked yourself out. One of the most liberating truths the Stoics teach is this: joy is an inside job. Your happiness is not their responsibility, not your partner's, not your friends', not your family's. It's yours, entirely. The moment you make your well-being dependent on how someone treats you, replies to your message, or validates your worth, you become a prisoner of their moods and decisions. And Stoicism exists to liberate us from exactly that kind of bondage. Seneca once said, "True happiness is to enjoy the present without anxious dependence upon the future." That means finding delight not in the outcome of something or someone, but in your own ability to experience life fully in this moment as it is. So, how do you build happiness from within? You begin by acknowledging that no one can complete you, because you're not a puzzle missing a piece. You are whole. And happiness isn't a place you arrive at after gaining approval. It's a state you return to by nurturing your inner world. Spend time with your thoughts. Understand your values. Celebrate the smallest victories: the first sip of morning coffee, a breath of cool air, the feeling of being alive and free to choose again today. Practice self-appreciation, not ego, but gratitude for your own resilience, for every day you've shown up, even when things were hard, for every time you rebuilt yourself from silence. And perhaps most importantly, pursue joy like it's your craft. Explore things that make your soul move. Learn, create, move your body, connect to nature. Not for show, for spirit. When you create your own happiness, something beautiful happens. You stop clinging. You stop controlling. You stop over-explaining your needs, because you already feel nourished from the inside. This makes you magnetic. Why? Because people are drawn to those who don't need them to feel whole. They feel safe with you. They feel inspired by you. You become the lighthouse, not the lifeboat. You radiate not the desperation to be filled, but the abundance of someone who already is. So remember, happiness isn't found in their response, their praise, or their presence. It's found in the quiet decision you make each day to live well, to think clearly, to honor your own joy. And when you show up full of that kind of quiet fire, others will feel it. Some may admire it, others may fear it, but all will respect it. Because nothing is more powerful and more stoic than a soul at peace with itself. Rule 4. Be costly. Let them invest in you. One of the greatest psychological truths is this: people value what they invest in. And if they don't have to invest much to get your attention, your time, or your affection, they won't treasure it. Not because they're bad people, but because that's how human perception works. Ease lowers value, effort elevates it. So let's flip the script. Instead of constantly proving yourself or offering unlimited access, choose to be costly, not in arrogance, but in essence. What does that mean? It means recognizing that your energy, your emotional presence, your time, they are valuable commodities, and those who want them should earn them through consistency, sincerity, and respect. Seneca said, "A gem cannot be polished without friction, nor a man perfected without trials." In the same way, a meaningful relationship cannot deepen without investment. If you offer yourself like a free giveaway, people may take, but rarely will they stay. What is easily acquired is easily dismissed. This doesn't mean becoming distant or unavailable. It means living with discernment. It means creating standards that protect your time and soul. It means understanding that not everyone gets access just because they show interest. They need to show effort. Think of relationships like mutual partnerships. When one side gives and the other just receives, imbalance creates resentment. But when both invest, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, the bond becomes stronger and more enduring. You're not here to be easily consumed. You're here to be deeply respected. And the paradox is, the more others must grow, stretch, and rise to meet you, the more deeply they'll value the experience of being close to you. Why? Because they had to expand to hold space for your presence. They had to invest their heart, time, patience, and that creates something meaningful. So let others show you who they are through what they're willing to invest, not just in words, but in effort. Give, but wisely. Be kind, but not freely available to everyone. Be open, but only to those who've earned the privilege of seeing your depth. And never forget, being costly isn't about playing games. It's about playing life with clarity, with standards, and with a deep understanding of your own worth. Because when people invest in you, and you invest in yourself, you no longer have to beg for value. You become it. Rule 5. Don't make them the center of your life. You are not meant to orbit around someone else's gravity. You are meant to carry your own light. It's easy, especially when love or admiration runs deep, to slowly begin rearranging your life around another person. Their needs first. Their moods dictate your peace. Their approval becomes your compass. But the Stoics would see this as dangerous, because once you build your identity around someone else's presence, you hand them silent control over your inner world. And what happens when they leave, shift, or fail to give you what you expect? You collapse. You lose yourself in someone else's storm. The answer? Don't make them the center of your life. Be your own center. Picture yourself as a star, radiant, alive, with your own path through the sky. When you center your life around someone else, you shrink your universe to one orbit. But when you live from your own core, relationships become enhancements, not your entire identity. Marcus Aurelius said, "He who lives in harmony with himself lives in harmony with the universe." That harmony cannot exist if everything in your life points outward. It begins with a deep, quiet reverence for your own path. This doesn't mean being cold or emotionally detached. It means maintaining the integrity of your selfhood. When you have passions, projects, rituals, routines, when your world is rich with your own meaning, you become more attractive, not less. People are drawn to those who have something going on. A vision, a purpose, a vibe. Not someone whose entire world can be rewritten by the absence or affection of another. And ironically, when you stop placing others at the center, many will be drawn to you even more. Because you become the rare kind of person who's grounded, who's whole, who doesn't need, but chooses, with strength. So, nurture your solitude, protect your dreams, build a world so vibrant that others want to be part of it, but even if they don't, it still thrives. Love deeply, connect honestly, but never forget who you are outside of anyone else's gaze. You are the fire, not the flicker. You are the gravity, not the satellite. You are the center, and you always have been. Rule 6, prioritize your own needs first. It might sound radical in a world that romanticizes sacrifice. Put yourself first. Not out of selfishness, but out of clarity. So many people lose themselves trying to please others, accommodate moods, or avoid conflict. They shapeshift to stay liked. They suppress needs to maintain connection. But slowly, silently, they begin to vanish from their own life. The Stoics would call this a disservice to reason and dignity, because when you consistently deprioritize yourself, you're not being kind, you're being dishonest with your own soul. Marcus Aurelius said, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." And what happens when your thoughts are always, "They matter more than me"? Your self-worth fades, your joy dims, you become a background character in your own story. Prioritizing your needs doesn't mean disregarding others. It means refusing to disregard yourself. It starts with boundaries, not walls, but healthy lines that protect your time, energy, and emotional integrity. It means saying no without guilt, taking rest without explanation, walking away from people who drain, disrespect, or diminish you, no matter how close they used to be. It also means tuning in every morning and asking, what do I need today, mentally, physically, emotionally? Where have I been overgiving and under-receiving? What would it look like to truly care for myself, not just survive? When you start showing up for yourself, people notice. Some might push back because your compliance once benefited them, but those who respect you will rise to meet you where you now stand, firmly, clearly, unapologetically. You teach others how to treat you by the way you treat yourself. If you honor your own needs, others are more likely to honor them too. And if they don't, you'll have the strength to walk away. This is not ego, it's equilibrium. You are not a bottomless well for others to draw from. You are a sacred source of love, of light, of presence. And when you fill your own cup, you don't become selfish, you become sustainable. So choose yourself every day, not as a last resort, but as a first act of loyalty to your soul. Because a life lived in self-neglect isn't love. It's slow erosion. And Stoicism demands that we stand firm, not for approval, but for principle, especially when the principle is you. Rule 7, don't be always Academy. There's a quiet power in not always being reachable, a strength in being present but not persistent, available but not on demand. We live in a hyper-connected world where instant replies are expected and constant accessibility is seen as a sign of care. But the truth is, when you are always there, your presence begins to lose weight. You become routine. Background: overexposed. And the Stoics understood that overexposure dulls meaning. Value thrives in scarcity. Just like a rare gem commands attention, your time and energy become more powerful when given with intention, not by default. Being constantly available isn't compassion, it's erosion. It eats away at your focus, your inner peace, and even your identity. Suddenly, your days are no longer shaped by what you need, but by everyone else's urgency. Marcus Aurelius didn't answer every demand. He ruled an empire and still made space for reflection, writing, walking in silence. Why? Because he knew that presence isn't measured by frequency, but by depth. And depth requires space. When you create space in your availability, you give others the gift of anticipation. You give your words more gravity. You give your time more meaning. They listen more closely. They reach out with more respect, because now your presence isn't expected, it's appreciated. So how do you practice this? People replying immediately to every message. Stop saying yes to every request. Build time blocks in your day that are untouchable, for reflection, for rest, for simply being. Let others miss you. Let the silence speak for you. This isn't about playing hard to get, it's about being hard to drain. You're not closing your heart, you're closing the floodgates that were never meant to be wide open all the time. And here's the paradox: the more you value your own space, the more others begin to value it too. They learn that when you show up, it means something, because you chose to be there, not because you had nothing else to do, but because you made it matter. You are not a subscription. You are not a service. You are a sovereign being. And sometimes the most powerful sentence you can speak is silence. Rule 7. Don't be always occasional. There's a quiet power in not always being reachable, a strength in being present, but not persistent, available, but not on demand. We live in a hyper-connected world where instant replies are expected and constant accessibility is seen as a sign of care. But the truth is, when you are always there, your presence begins to lose weight. You become routine. Background: overexposed. And the Stoics understood that overexposure dulls meaning. Value thrives in scarcity. Just like a rare gem commands attention, your time and energy become more powerful when given with intention, not by default. Being constantly available isn't compassion, it's erosion. It eats away at your focus, your inner peace, and even your identity. Suddenly, your days are no longer shaped by what you need, but by everyone else's urgency. Marcus Aurelius didn't answer every demand. He ruled an empire and still made space for reflection, writing, walking in silence. Why? Because he knew that presence isn't measured by frequency, but by depth, and depth requires space. When you create space in your availability, you give others the gift of anticipation. You give your words more gravity. You give your time more meaning. They listen more closely. They reach out with more respect. Because now, your presence isn't expected, it's appreciated. So, how do you practice this? Stop replying immediately to every message. Stop saying yes to every request. Build time blocks in your day that are untouchable, for reflection, for rest, for simply being. Let others miss you. Let the silence speak for you. This isn't about playing hard to get, it's about being hard to drain. You're not closing your heart, you're closing the floodgates that were never meant to be wide open all the time. And here's the paradox. The more you value your own space, the more others begin to value it too. They learn that when you show up, it means something, because you chose to be there, not because you had nothing else to do, but because you made it matter. You are not a subscription, you are not a service. You are a sovereign being. And sometimes the most powerful sentence you can speak is silence. Rule 8. Stop starting the conversation all the time. There's a certain quiet sadness in always being the one who reaches out first. You send the message. You ask how they are. You check in, follow up, initiate, again and again. And over time, it begins to weigh on you, not just because of the effort, but because of what it reveals. Imbalance. In any meaningful connection, whether romantic, platonic, or professional, there must be mutual pursuit, a shared energy, a willingness to show up, not just when asked, but because they choose to. The Stoics believed in equality of soul, not hierarchy of effort. Seneca taught that we should give, but with discernment. Kindness is only beautiful when it is mutual, he wrote, not as a rejection of generosity, but as a defense of dignity. If you're always initiating, what are you really doing? You may be trying to maintain closeness, keep the spark alive, avoid the pain of distance. But in doing so, you might also be shielding yourself from a deeper truth. They may not value the connection as much as you do, and that's not an accusation, it's a reflection point. Sometimes, when you stop initiating, silence becomes a mirror. You finally see the true shape of the relationship. Not the one you hoped for, but the one that actually exists. And yes, it can hurt. But clarity always precedes healing. So what can you do? Step back. Pause. Don't ghost. Just let the space speak. Allow the other person the opportunity to come forward, to reach out, to choose you without prompting. And if they don't, that's not rejection, that's redirection. It's life saying, protect your effort, spend your energy where it's reciprocated, where presence flows both ways. Remember, your worth is not proven by how often you chase connection, it's honored by how willing you are to wait for alignment. The one who always reaches out first might be kind, but the one who learns when to stop, that person is becoming wise. Let the silence do its work. If the connection is real, it will breathe again. And if not, you've made space for something truer to enter. Rule 9. Don't be too emotionally attached. To feel deeply is human. To love fully is courageous. But to lose yourself in another person? That's not love. That's surrendering your center. The Stoics never told us to suppress emotion. On the contrary, they encouraged us to observe it, understand it, but never to serve it blindly. Because emotional attachment, when unbalanced, becomes a quiet chain. It binds your peace to someone else's presence, your joy to their approval, your worth to their attention. And that is a dangerous dependence. Seneca once wrote, "The man who is enslaved to his passions is more a prisoner than the one behind bars." Emotional attachment can feel beautiful at first, intimate, intense, even addictive. But if you need someone to feel okay, if their absence erodes your stability, then your foundation isn't built on love, it's built on fear. True connection doesn't require dependency, it thrives in freedom. So what does this rule ask of you? It asks you to feel everything, but cling to nothing. To love without control. To be close without collapsing into someone else. To allow people to move in and out of your life without it destroying your sense of self. This doesn't mean becoming cold. It means becoming rooted. It means developing a center so steady that no one, not even the person you love most, can shake your sense of identity. It means being able to say, "I love you, I cherish you, but I do not need you to complete me, because I am already whole." When you are whole, love becomes a gift, not a transaction. You give freely, not fearfully. You can walk beside someone, not beneath them. You can choose presence over possession. You can release the need to grip and instead hold gently, with care, not control. And should things end, you will grieve, yes, but you will not break. Because you know your center isn't in them, it's in you. That's stoicism, that's self-mastery, that's emotional clarity. So love deeply, feel fully, but stand firmly. Let emotion visit, let reason lead. And never let anyone, no matter how beautiful the bond, become the reason you forget your own strength. Rule 10. Be willing to walk away. There is a silent strength that few people ever master. The ability to walk away. Not in anger, not as a threat, but from clarity, from self-respect, from the deep knowing that if something consistently disrespects your peace, dims your light, or pulls you out of alignment, it is no longer a space you belong in. The Stoics didn't teach passivity. They taught presence. They taught discernment. They taught that what we tolerate, we ultimately endorse. Marcus Aurelius said, "You always own the option of having no opinion. There is never a need to be anxious or upset." In other words, you always have the option to leave, to disengage, to remove yourself from environments, people, or patterns that fracture your integrity. But let's be honest, walking away is hard. Because we're taught that endurance is loyalty, that holding on is noble, that staying is strength. But sometimes, the bravest thing you can do, the most loving thing, is to walk. Not because you stopped caring, but because you started caring about yourself more clearly. To walk away means you've stopped hoping someone else will finally treat you right, and you've started treating yourself right. It means you've stopped waiting for things to change, and you've chosen to be the change by stepping out. And yes, it's scary. It may mean letting go of years of emotional investment. It may mean facing loneliness, uncertainty, and doubt. But what lies on the other side is priceless. Peace. And peace is worth more than history, more than habit, more than comfort. Walking away doesn't make you heartless, it makes you whole. It tells the world, and more importantly, yourself, that your time is sacred, that your energy is limited, that your standards are not negotiable, that your soul is not a bargaining chip. You don't owe anyone endless chances. You don't owe anyone your breakdown just to maintain their comfort. What you owe is to yourself, to be free, to be respected, to be aligned with your values. So walk if you must, quietly, firmly, with grace. Let your footsteps echo with conviction, not revenge. And don't look back, not out of bitterness, but because your path now leads forward. Because when you can walk away from what diminishes you, you walk right into who you were always meant to become. And thank you truly for walking this journey with me. If any part of this message resonated with you, may it serve as a reminder. You are not alone in seeking clarity, strength, and peace. You are not weak for wanting more. You are not selfish for choosing yourself. Thank you for honoring your path, for choosing presence over noise, for remembering that your life, your real inner life, is always worth protecting. Until next time, stay grounded, stay unshaken, and stay stoic.